Hey guys, so I think I finally got this DW somewhat set up, and I've got just the ride going, that going. Well, fan noise is kind of loud, but let's get a sample of the individual voices here, huh? Oh, and just FYI, I do have the EAD on it too, so when you hear it, it's going to be coming out of a speaker. So let me give you both comparisons so you can kind of get a sense of what it sounds like one without the other. This is amp off. This snare is cracking too. Acoustic is good on it too. It's a 14-inch, so 14 by 5. There's the bass drum. I'm just still flabbergasted at how they get such a big sound out of this little bass drum. It's quite remarkable. It took me a little messing around with. I went just a little bit a hair past wrinkle, and then cranked it up some, like brought it up to medium to high tuning. And kind of was just playing around with it, but trying to get as much low end out of it as possible. And this is it wide open, no pillows in it or anything. So it's it's got a lot of sustain to it. Okay, and then we got first tom. It's maple too, so it's loud. Okay, floor tom. Snares off. Got the snares off, and I did throw G2s on the. I just had the G2s laying around. I ordered new heads. That's another thing. It took me a while to get around to getting this set up. Well, not only because of getting the studio set up, but because of waiting till I get these new heads before I went through the meticulous tuning part of it. Because there's nothing I really hate more than spending like 3.5 hours tuning a drum set only to like the next day get new heads in and then have to redo it all anyway. So, but what I did do is I changed out the tom heads to coated heads. The snare has a controlled sound on it, a remote controlled sound. And then these are like Power Stroke 3s, I believe. Remo USA, Power Stroke 3, so it's just got a clear batter and then the coated reso, and it has those little ports in it, DW's like little small port, vented head basically. It's kind of like a vented ply dry snare head almost. But once I throw some pillows in here at Evans EQ, or the little DW pillows, but I'm probably just going to use one of those Evans EQs. Those are nice, I like those. Throw one of those in there and put EMAD on there. So I ordered an EMAD. I've got G1s coming, which now I'm kind of thinking, because I'm like, wow, if the 2-ply sound like this, I can only imagine what the 1-ply is going to sound like. But anyway, that's what I got. So gonna put a texture coated on the snare. The snare is actually sounding pretty good right now. I like the controlled sound on it. Sounds pretty good. So. And I don't have any moon gel or anything on it, so it really just the sustain on this floor tom is pretty incredible. There, now it died, but it was like shorter note on that. I need to redo this bass drum again too. Oh yeah, now I was going to turn the speaker on. Well, actually, I don't need to redo the bass drum, but, well, I mean, yes I do, but at the same time, since it's wide open, it has absolutely no muffling in it, it's basically going to sound like a power tom almost, you know, like, because it's 12 inches deep, but a 20. But you can hear, it's the minute you put it out of an amp, because from the player side, I'm not hearing, like, any of that projection that's coming out that way. It's really weird, like, you know, I was hitting it with a mallet and testing out on either side, player side and audience perspective. And like when you're on this side, it's amazing the difference in the punch from when you're on the player side. So I'll have to see how that kind of translates over time and figure out what the best tuning range is for it. And once I get the muffling in it, I have a good feeling about this bass drum. So but the low end is incredible for what it is. For the size of what it is, I can't tell you how small this kit is. I mean, this is a regular size tom, 12 by 8. Sounds pretty good too. I got to figure out how to kind of, you know, kill a little bit of the sustain and get a little more of the punch, and get this bass drum dialed in a little more. And I also have a cotton beater on this side right now. I usually play with a harder plastic side just to capture that slap, but I don't have a patch on this, and it's a single ply, clear. So I'll beat a hole in this bass drum head in a second, you know, if I put that hard plastic side on it. So and plus getting the softer sound of the, you know, felt beater. I shouldn't have said cotton, felt. There are cotton beaters too that are even softer. So felt beater on this side. It's so sensitive too. It's a killer little kit, guys. It's a killer little kit. And it's just so compact. And then just being able to take the EAD with me if I need to mic it. I mean, you hear just the EAD in that spot. Night and day, I'm sure, when I listen back to the recording. A night and day difference with the amp on and off. And yes, it's a subwoofer in addition to that. So you are getting exaggerated lows. So I don't mean to give people a false perspective on what it's going to sound like, but that's the tone of the bass drum. That's not the trigger engaged. So I have the trigger turned off. It's just, but it is coming through a big old bass amp, so it does sound like that. I just turned the amp down a little more. So it's going to be a cool kit, and then because, you know, there's no second tom, you get your ride right where you like it, right next to you. So okay guys, I don't want this video to get super long, but that's the basic sounds, and then once I get the new heads, because that's what, you know, I didn't get completely as meticulous and anal as I usually get about tuning. I usually spend hours tuning, like if I have to, you know, if I'm doing it all by ear, and then using a drum dial too. So you can hear, you know, I'm sure it's a little bit off, but I wanted to get it at least in the general ranges, kind of get the sounds coming out, show you what it's like set up, how small the footprint is. I mean, for how tiny this bass drum is, it's pretty unbelievable. If you have like a top-down view, you can see how skinny it is. Bass drum's really small as far as depth goes, but it's still a 20. Still a 20, so you're getting quite a bit more low end than you would out of an 18. That's for sure. That's for sure. But you do have to get used to playing with a bop kick. You know, if you're used to playing on a 22 by 18 with everything you play, you know, it's gonna sound dramatically different. But at the same time, it's extremely portable, and you can set up and have big sound for a small kit. So, and I was able, as I was replacing the, you know, the tom heads too, I was able to get a good inside look at all the shells and the plies and everything, and boy, is it built well. It's built really well. The hardware inside, I mean, is like twice as beefy and thick and good than the Gretsch, the Gretsch Catalina, as far as the inside screws, you know, mounting the lugs on. The hardware inside these is just, it's pretty incredible. You can see how well, and the bearing edges were just like flawless, absolutely flawless. And one last cool thing I will say too, guys, is the snare is a 10-ply snare. So the snare is the most ply out of any drum on the whole kit, and it's cracking. Sounds good to me. It's a cool snare. It's a good snare for coming with a kit. I mean, we all know as drummers, the snares that usually come with kits, right, are not all that great. That is one of the best pieces on that whole kit, is the snare. The rest is, I believe it's 7-ply. It's either 7 or 8-ply. They do like a graduated thing too, but I don't know. But I think the bass drum, I think it's 6-ply. The bass drum's 7-ply, and then the snare is 10-ply. But I might have that wrong, so don't quote me on that. But I do know that the snare is 10-ply, so that's really cool. And I right now, with the snares that I have, I didn't have a 5, so that's cool. It's kind of almost like having one, like almost like a piccolo in a sense, but it's still a 14, so has that low sound. But all right, guys. Well, I just got done teaching for the day, and I spent the last amount of time setting that up so I could get a quick video out on the new kit. So happy drumming, everybody. I'm really excited with with this kit. It's going to be cool because if you mic it up, just carry, you know, a Shure Beta 91A, or I'm also going to port the front head so that I can, not this head, but, you know, just get a EQ3 ported for when I do need a ported head. That way I can just stick the Beta 91A in there, or just a regular instrument mic too. So, and then if you know, have a even smaller broken down kind of thing going on, just come out of the PA with the EAD. So it just depends on how, you know, how big of sound you need and what type of room that you're in, what type of space. But the EAD will work perfect for that little travel box, and just boom, you're hooked up. And you heard when I turned the amp on just how big that bass drum sounded. So love you guys. Have a great rest of your nights, and I'll see you on the next video. Okay, guys? Hope everyone's doing well. Take care out there. Bye.